Welcome to Always Ageless with Valerie V. I am your host, Valerie Van de Zilver. We're fortunate today to have with us Mitch Kahn with Mitch Kahn Fitness. He's known as a body transformation coach and has a following of almost 500,000 people on his Instagram account with the handle at Forever Fit with Mitch. When I saw Mitch, I was inspired by his methods and his systems, and you're going to be interested to hear what he has to say. Part of the goal of our show, Always Ageless, is to bring tips, strategies, ways to older adults and their families to have a vibrant, dynamic, fun, and healthy lifestyle. When watching Mitch online, I was inspired by his regimen, his simple fitness tips, and especially that he didn't say anything. So he makes a great impression on people, has 500,000 followers, and doesn't say a word. I think that's he's done a great job with that. So I was very inspired. His presentation is simple, it's down to earth, and it's something that even older adults can do to stay young and to stay fit. And it's so simple, everybody can do it. No going to the gym, no cardio workouts, no sweating, no heavy lifting, no running, no jumping, just simple, easy to do exercises. So I knew that my listeners and viewers could benefit by having Mitch on our show. He's going to share with us today how to be always ageless. Welcome, Mitch, to Always Ageless.
Thanks, Valerie. Good to be here.
So let's start out by telling everybody about you. What's your background? Were you always in the fitness industry? What have you done to get to where you are today? What brought you to this point?
Well, I'm 71, and what I do now is actually a retirement career. I've been doing training, specifically working with older adults for the last 15 years or so, since I retired. Before that, I worked in the business world. And interestingly enough,
Mitch, if you can get a little bit closer to your microphone or turn up your volume, we're having a really hard time hearing you. And I know our listeners want to hear everything you have to say.
okay.
That's
So
better.
I'll talk a little louder.
Okay.
Is that better?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay. So about 16 years ago, about a year before I became a trainer, I had let my body go. I was about 70 pounds heavier than I am today and really, really unhealthy. Had a poor blood profile. So I had high triglycerides, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. And I took it upon myself to basically change. So I changed the way I ate. And although I had worked out pretty much my entire life, those last few years when I was getting unhealthy, I had really ignored it. So I started working out and exercising again, started eating better. And over a period of about 8 months, I lost quite a bit of weight. So I went from about 265 pounds to about 195.
So you went from 255 to 195.
265 to 195.
65 to 195. It's even better.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And obviously I felt a lot better. And
sure.
As I got into it, it sort of brought me into the training world. I wanted to learn as much as I could about exercise and nutrition. So I became certified as a trainer. And people who knew me saw the results that I had gotten and started asking me for help too. So as I was retiring, I said to myself, this is the perfect retirement career. And so I started doing that. And I originally worked in the gym. And for the last several years, until I sort of retired from that, I worked in a very large retirement community. And
you lived in a large retirement community?
No, I worked in one.
Oh, you worked in one. Yeah, we're really having a lot of trouble hearing. I don't want our poor listeners to not be able to hear you.
And so I worked in a very large retirement community that ran the gamut from independent living all the way to skilled nursing and memory care. And I trained people there. I ran classes there and basically answered any type of health or fitness questions that they had. I worked with another group that was their physical therapist, so we worked hand in hand to help people. And I decided after a few years of doing that I was tired of getting up that early in the morning and
Oh, I see.
driving and
So you were
driving.
getting up early. So I would just want to repeat this because I know some people are going to have a little trouble hearing you. Maybe you can just get even like really, really, really close to your microphone. So if I understand correctly, you're working at a retirement community. And was that like an assisted living or was it a place where like a 55 plus community?
It ran the gamut. So it was independent living, and then people could drop down to assisted living, and then all the way to skilled nursing or memory care. And
Okay.
so we conducted classes for the independent living folks. We conducted classes for the assisted living folks, and we conducted classes for the skilled nursing memory care folks. So I dealt with a, a wide range of issues that people would have as they got older. And I did that for several years until the drive it was about a 35-minute drive for me, which might not be bad for somebody living in Los
Los
Angeles
Angeles.
area, but for here it's a little bit tough. So uh, I retired from there, but I wanted to stay busy. So I picked up a couple of group fitness classes that I teach locally, and I
Sure.
still train some people at the local gyms here. But then I decided I wanted to give my knowledge to people on social media. So sometime in March of this year, I started posting videos on Instagram. At the
March of
time,
this year. So you
March
started
of this
March
year.
of this year and it's now September 10th of this year.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Well, good for you.
and when I started, I had about 9,000 followers from just being on Instagram for a number of years. And then it started to grow
And here you are.
astronomically.
And
Yeah.
here you are. And now we found you and we're lucky enough to have you on our show today. So let's go
Right.
back a little bit. Let's go back a little bit. So tell us a little bit more. And again, we're really having trouble hearing you. So please do your best to get right up next to your microphone and tell us. So who were you before you retired? What did you do? What was your background?
I worked in several different industries. I worked in finance and insurance, and I also did business consulting. So a wide variety of different areas,
But you
and
never did anything related to fitness.
only on my own. I exercised pretty much my entire life, but no, not anything in fitness related until I became a trainer. So
Yes. So then you decided to retire.
yeah, I had a business. I sold my business, and I was looking for something to do. And because at the same time I was trying to get healthier, and being I guess somewhat OCD, I wanted to learn as much as I could about fitness and exercise, and started studying and decided to become a certified personal trainer.
Sure. And all of that was after you retired, nothing before that.
Nothing before that.
So you just decided that maybe you weighed more that you wanted to weigh. And so maybe you would start working out. And then from that, and we'll go back to your eating habits in just a minute. But from that, then you started working out. And do you think that people followed you more because you are a little bit older and you were an inspiration to the older group?
Yeah, definitely. I get a lot of comments about that they they like that I'm in the same age group as them, and I understand some of the issues that people deal with. because I deal with some myself, and I I think I relate well because I'm in that same age category. And then the interesting thing is I get a lot of comments. I don't talk as you mentioned. I just do the exercises and the videos, but get a lot of comments because I choose 60s and 70s music to go along with the videos, and
You
everybody seems to enjoy that too.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, absolutely, definitely. And and you know, it's really interesting because and starting my show, I was looking for people who exemplify what you do, you know, who is always ageless and who is still doing things. Because part of what we do here is we give tips about, oh, assisted living and, you know, and dementia and all kinds of things related to health and medicine and care and so forth. But the other thing that we want to do here is to show the heroes. You're the hero that I call who's done something in their older years. It's kind of reinvented themselves. And certainly I saw you and I was impressed with what you do. So let's go back to, so you got your certification to be a trainer. And then when you do that, Mitch, does that mean you work at a specific gym or did you, and then people come there, or did you have your own workout place where people came to work with you?
Yeah, when I became a trainer, I at the time I wasn't working in a gym. I was just going to a gym and exercise. Uh, and then once I got my certification, I trained some people on the side, but again, not working for a gym. And then after a while, I actually got hired at a gym, and then I stayed there for about 5 or 6 years, and then moved to a different gym, and then it's just sort of
On from there.
developed from
Well, we'll
there.
follow
Yeah,
your story here, but let me ask you a question. When you were at the gyms, did they have you teach a specific seniors class, or did you teach anybody? And was there a specific exercise routine that you taught? How did that work?
at the first gym that I worked at, initially I started out training anybody who was willing to work with me,
Anybody's willing
but
to listen, huh?
yeah, but over time, because at the time I was still, let's see, that was about 15 years ago, so I was about mid 50s, late 50s. Um, People came to me because of my age, who were in the same age group, because I related to them. And from that, I I developed I was training individuals, so one-on-one person training. But then I started a group training program at the gym for older adults. And that became very popular. And I ran that for the whole time that I was at that gym. And then when I moved to the next gym, I carried that over to the the next gym. Again, having personal training one-on-one, but also the group classes for older adults.
So when you
And
went
then
to the first gym, they didn't have a seniors program, so to speak.
not at all.
You
No,
kind of
no. So
created it.
I developed that.
And in developing that, Mitch, is it like what we see on your videos or on your Instagram? Is it those kind of things, or what did your program look like? If I came to you, what was I going to get? What was I going to see? What were you going to do for me or with me, I should say?
Yeah, so that the initial program was for people 50 and older, and I would basically I knew the people that were in the class. I knew what their capabilities were, so I would develop programs for the classes that fit what they were able to do. So those people, for the most part, were able to work with a little heavier weights. Uh, so we did a lot of weight training, some low impact cardio. But again, working with individuals within the group or within the class, I would modify for whatever limitations that they might have. So that that worked well. I'm trying to think of what we called it. I think we called it fit over 50 at the time. And gradually, I started conducting some other classes that were body weight only, no weights. And then when I went to the retirement community to begin working there, we did everything from seated workouts to standing workouts to balance and flexibility classes to low impact cardio, working with body weight, dumbbells, resistance bands. So we're running the whole gamut.
So when you were at the gym, you kind of created a program. And did you go to them and say, I think that there's a need here for a fit over 50 program? And they said, okay, just create one if you want to.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you
That's
just
exactly what
then you
happened.
just put it on the schedule and people started coming.
Exactly.
Sounds great. Well, I think that you really obviously you hit a niche, because don't you think that, or do you think that people who are older, you and I included, that they're a little bit embarrassed to be with a younger trainer, and they would like to, like, they would like to work out or be a little bit more fit, let's say, maybe not work out, but they like to be more fit, but they feel intimidated to try to be what the younger group is, what the younger kids are, or they feel like I'll never be able to lift 100 pounds and I don't want to be embarrassed. So I just won't go over there.
Yeah, unfortunately, the stigma for a lot of trainers, especially younger ones, is that yeah, they look like they're bodybuilders and they want to take those type of exercises that they're used to and have other adults do them. And granted, there are some older adults who can do that, but for the vast majority of them, they are intimidated by the way that the younger trainer might look or what they might have to do in class. And I think being in that same age group uh, as my clients and people that I work with, it it helps them relate because I understand their issues. We talk about their issues. I tell them the issues that I deal with, and it becomes a much easier conversation. Just like if I was going to probably work with, uh, let's say, high school students who wanted to bulk up for football, it's not going to relate.
Right.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, certainly I can relate to that. I'd love to go to the gym, but everybody's going to be in better shape than I am. And I don't want to be embarrassed, so I'll just go out by myself. And how many of your students were men versus ladies?
the vast majority are female. I mean, I
They
work
were.
with, yeah, the vast majority are. And even now, the breakdown on the followers of my,
Do you think that's because your classes were like daytime hours and maybe the gentlemen didn't come to the gym during the day? I hate to say it, they weren't working, because the ladies, look, I'm still working.
well, a lot of my clients were retired, so I'm not sure that would have been an issue. I think, uh, speaking as a guy who used to think this himself, uh, you think you can do it better on your own. Whereas I think women are a little more open to being guided and instructed.
That's
And
true.
that's not to say that I didn't have males in my classes, because I did. But um, even when I worked at the retirement community, the vast majority of the people who attended the classes were female. And even though the fitness center and all the classes were free of charge to any resident of the community, it just was dominated by females.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that if you had had a separate class just for men, that you might have had a larger group of men that might have come to men's only class?
Possibly, but even if I think back to at the retirement community, the people who were coming into the fitness center just to exercise on their own,
They just were.
more of them were female than male. Now the interesting thing is one class that I did teach there was for Parkinson's patients.
Oh, that's interesting.
and everybody in that class was a man.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell us about that, Mitch. How do you teach a Parkinson's class? How does that vary from your class of your regular, let's call it your regular fitness class?
Okay, and let me back up one step, because in addition to getting my certification as a personal trainer, I've spent a lot of time studying fitness for older adults. So I've gotten a number of additional certifications in working with older adults from other various certifying agencies that are out there. And in addition to that, I got a certification to work with Parkinson's patients. So when you work with Parkinson's patients, a couple of things you want to focus on are, one, having them do larger movements.
I'm
So
sorry, the things you focus on are what was number one?
one would be having them do larger movements. So for instance, I would, if you put your arms out laterally from your body and you make big circles
Like
going
this?
forward and backwards, that's a larger movement. Because you just so you do that. You also have them participate by expressing what they're doing. So I might have them count out loud the number of reps they're doing. I might have them call out the exercise that they want to do. So you're just trying to get them engaged, and taking those type of I guess taking those type of movements and expressions into account while they're doing it.
Tell our audience, Mitch, what about Parkinson's training is different? What do you have to do? What do you need to do? What does the Parkinson's patient need? And how do
Okay,
you meet that through exercise?
it's it's been found that you want Parkinson's patients, when they're exercising, um, and again, they can do most exercise depending on what stage they're in, but you want them to have some sort of support nearby in case they're a little unsteady. You want them to be talking out loud while they're exercising. And so that might mean counting out the reps themselves. That might mean naming what the exercise is. That might just be some sort of naming game that I play with them as they're exercising. You also want them to make big movements. So, for instance, taking their arms laterally out from their body and making big circles going forward or going backwards.
Okay, so
And
tell me what this does for a Parkinson's patient.
it's been shown that any type of exercise is helpful for Parkinson's patients, but especially movements that are bigger than normal. Because you'll find that a lot of Parkinson's patients, their movements start to get smaller. And so you're trying to get their body moving bigger. So, for instance, if I had them march in place, I'd want them to take really big sort of knee raises. And they might have to do this while they're being supported, because if I didn't have them do that, their their steps might be their knee might not be coming up very high. So you're trying to sort of combat that uh, movement limitation that they start to deal with as their uh, their disease sort of progresses.
And for a Parkinson's patient, Mitch, do they have more difficulty with their arm type movements or leg movements?
That's a good question. Um, it impacts people differently, but from the people that I've dealt with, their movements of their leg start to get smaller. So they're taking smaller steps. almost like they're shuffling. Um, and then some of them will have tremors of some type, so their hands might shake, um, and you might even start to see it in their body as well. So again, the bigger movements are helping them combat that. And
So it
then
kind of helps
the
them overcompensate, so to speak.
exactly. Uh, and it's been found uh, that boxing moves are actually really good for Parkinson's patients.
And that's boxing moves, like fighting boxing moves are better. And
Yeah,
how is that? How is that better for a Parkinson's patient?
it's just been shown that they they're able to do it, and it helps them sort of steady themselves. So, for instance, you might have them do a a combination of a jab and a hook, or a jab and a
Just
cross.
like this, right?
Right. And they're also stepping forward as they're doing it. So
All right.
it's just having them do those type of movements seem to seem to help. I'm not sure that anybody's actually figured out why, but any type of movement that you can have Parkinson's patients make is going to be good. And they can get frustrated at times
Oh, I'm
because
sure.
uh, and in the class that I conducted at the retirement community, and there were a couple patients that not only had Parkinson's, but they had early stages of dementia too. So it becomes even more difficult for them, um, because now they're also trying to remember what you just showed them to do. So you have to model the exercise along with them, and and continue to keep doing that to show them what they should be doing.
So do they, and I know that Parkinson's is a progressive disease, right? It progresses from this point until it's almost fatal, so to speak. And um, and so you must have had people in your class who were different levels, right? Is that correct?
Correct.
And then
Correct.
you were just able to adjust and work with them. But they would all come to one class together.
They would all come to one class together, and then I would have to modify different exercises. So I would go around the room
But
as they
did
were
you ever
doing
have women
exercise.
in your classes, or was it always all men?
In the Parkinson's class, it was all men.
Really? And
Yeah,
not by design, but just by that's who attended.
correct.
Interesting. That's interesting. So you started on social media, and what inspired you to start to post? Were you a social media um, fan at that point? Did you already have your own Facebook page, or what inspired you, or who should I say maybe inspired you and said, you should go on social media?
I was already on social media. Uh, I when COVID struck and all the gyms closed, uh,
Oh,
I sort of I pivoted, and I started doing some online coaching. So I had a following from there, uh, where I was posting every day, and then I was doing online coaching with people one on one.
so your online coaching at that point was people that had they already been in your gym classes or in your classes at the
No,
retirement community where
no,
you were?
no, I had people all over the world actually.
Really? And they all
Yeah,
found you online. So you just started to post. And how soon was it that you really started to get speed?
uh, it took about 6 months, because when I first went online, yeah, I was a complete newbie. I didn't know what I was doing. Uh,
Well, we all start somewhere, that's for sure. That's for
yeah,
sure. So
I,
you started out as Forever Fit with Mitch. That's how you started out?
actually at that point in time, I was doing uh, weight loss coaching
Okay.
for people who were either vegan, plant based, and wanting to go more plant based in their eating. So I was doing that.
So you were
Uh,
doing fitness coaching, but it was it was eating or more diet based, is that correct?
It was, yeah, it's a
More
combination of
based.
fitness and diet. Yes.
Okay, and you were always, and I don't want to jump around, but I'm going to, and you were always, all your food was always vegan, is that correct?
No, I became vegan. I I became vegan about 7 or 8 years ago. Uh, I actually call it plant-based, but I I went that route because I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and doing a lot of reading and talking with a friend of my brother's who was combating it at the same time. Uh, he suggested I try going plant-based because it had helped him, and so I did that, sort of cold turkey, and it seems to help because I've been dealing with prostate cancer for about 12 years, and
Sorry to hear that.
well, it's under control. So all I do is I go for a PSA test every 6 months and do what's called active surveillance. So I haven't had any type of treatment on it and pretty much control it with diet. Um, so that's how I came to become, a plant-based eater and continue to that to this day. Although I don't push, I respect everybody's opinion on what they want to eat. So I don't try and push it on anybody. And I don't normally even bring it up unless it comes up in conversation. Um,
Well, and I saw it in searching you out and in reviewing your background, I saw that you do a lot of that. So, and so tell us that, I mean, I think most people probably know, but in a plant-based diet or food program, do you eat chicken and fish? Do you eat any meat at all? Do you consider fish as being a meat? What, or none of that? Maybe just give us a real brief overview because most people know, but I want to just review it here.
sure, no, I don't eat any meat, any poultry, any seafood, no dairy products. Um, and haven't for since the time that I went vegan. Um, and it takes a while to get used to,
Does
uh,
it?
but once you get used to it, uh, and I went through various stages because when I first started, I tried to be very strict and was basically whole food, plant based, not using any oil or salt or sugar, and that's extremely difficult. And
It is.
now I just call myself plant based because I use oil. I don't use sugar per se, but I'll use maple syrup for a sweetener, and I don't use a lot of salt. I use other spices. Um,
So you
and
started that more as a part of your health than
yeah,
of your diet. So did you at the point in time when you decided you wanted to start losing weight, was that a specific moment or you just were working out and one thing led to another, or you were working out and then you found out you needed to clean up your health, so to speak, and then you went to vegan? Is there a process there or were there certain steps that you followed? But what advice would you give to our listeners and our viewers?
actually, when I lost the weight, I was not vegan at the time. I just changed my eating habits from eating a lot of junk. Um, and when I became vegan, I was already at my current weight. I weighed between, depending on the day, 195 to 200. So I was already at that weight. So uh, I didn't necessarily lose weight from being a vegan or plant based because that had already happened. But it all sort of ties into continuing to stay healthy and fit. Um, it's interesting because I mentioned I deal with my own health issue. Besides the prostate cancer, uh, because I had eaten not that great for a long time in my life, um, I I have what's called a high uh, coronary calcium score.
A coronary
And,
calcium score?
yeah, a high one, a very high one. And so I I control that through my diet, through my plant-based diet. Um, and I I've had a couple of stress tests, and the doctors have said that they hope that their stress test was as good at at this age as mine is. So, uh, I think the combination of exercising myself every day and eating the way I eat has helped me sort of keep that under control without any type of, heart issues.
Certainly. So the magic formula that we all hear every time we want to lose weight is exercise and eat right. And it seems like that's kind of the formula.
But that's the formula, and every doctor will tell you that, but they don't tell you how to do it necessarily.
Right. Yes.
And so you need to know what type of exercises you really should be doing, and you need to know how food impacts your body. And it's it's not it's not that it's plant based. Obviously, I restrict some foods from going into my mouth, but uh, people don't have to be plant based, and they can still lose weight and not be on a restrictive diet either. So
Sure.
it's just a matter of knowing how to do it, quantities, and if you cheat occasionally, that's fine too.
Certainly.
Because it's something that happens over a long period of time. Nothing you ate yesterday or the day before is going to add 5 pounds to your body or cause you to have a heart attack necessarily. It's the gradual progression over time of what you're putting into your body or how you're moving your body.
So it's interesting that you say that because this morning I looked at a post of a good friend of mine, and she's really working on her fitness, and she's not, she's, I guess you'd say middle older age. So she's over 50 certainly. And how much over that, I'm not sure. But anyway, so she is in her older half, and she was starting to work on her health, although I think she looks great. She works out at the gym, but she was saying that she's on this program where she's only going to eat a certain diet during the week, Monday through Friday. She's really careful, very restrictive. She eats very healthy. She cooks fresh vegetables, all of those things. But then on the weekends, of course, we have ice cream, and she goes up from 2,000 or 1,500 calories a day to 4,000 calories a day. And that shoots what she does all day, all week long. So on Monday through Friday, she loses she totally throws that in the bucket, so to speak, for Saturday and Sunday. And yes, that is definitely a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, definitely.
And I can't do much without having a little ice cream every now and then. That's for sure.
I eat vegan ice cream every once in a while too. I don't pig out on it.
Ice cream cures a lot, I think. I think it does. I want to talk about where I saw you first, which was on your Instagram page. Talk to us now. Let's spend the rest of our time together talking about your exercises, how you choose them, and the response you've had from your audience, and are those the same things you do? How did you come up with this, and how did you come up with the model where you don't talk during your exercises? So tell us all about that. Let's talk about, and it's Forever Fit with Mitch, correct?
Forever Fit with Mitch, correct?
Right.
On Instagram.
Right. And I'm sorry, it's Forever Fit with Mitch, right?
Correct.
Yes, Forever Fit with Mitch. Great. All right. So let's go spend the rest of our time today talking about your show.
Okay. So a lot of these things that I've developed on my Instagram page are just sort of things that happened because of the way I was doing it. So for instance, the reason I didn't talk initially was I didn't have a microphone to connect up with my iPhone.
Oh, okay.
Right
Oh,
occurred.
so it happened, as they would say, it happened organically, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then people started commenting that they liked the fact that I didn't say anything. I just did the exercises. So I kept at it, even though I now have a microphone.
Well,
Um,
there's some intrigue with that, right? There's some intrigue with like, who is this person? Kind of like the silent movies. I like what's going to happen next. So go ahead.
exactly. So then um, some of the other things that I do on my video, so I wave. Well, the reason I wave initially was my wife does the videoing of me. So when I wave, she knows to turn on the camera. And then
Uh-huh.
at the end, when I nod, that was my cue to her to stop recording.
Okay.
And and again, people picked up on that, and we just kept it in now. Uh, and so it's sort of become a trademark. And it's funny because this will be probably shown later, but in Lifetime today, tomorrow, I'm coming out with a collaboration post with a physical therapist. And one of the things she asked me to do in the video was make sure I waved at the beginning because everybody knew that. So,
Certainly.
uh, so then the reason that I started posting uh, back in March was I wanted something to do after I had retired from the retirement community, working up there. And said, okay, I'm going to start posting at home workouts that older folks can do. And I'm going to do easy body weight stuff, knowing that a lot of people don't have equipment. And so the first one I did was showing people how to get up off the floor if
Oh,
they've
that's a
fallen.
great idea.
And that attracted a lot of views. It's like, wow, I never had this many views when I was doing the weight loss coaching. So I said, okay, I'm going to keep posting. And I kept posting. And again, everything revolves around at home workouts that you can do any time of the day, uh, using either body weight or being at the kitchen counter or sitting in a chair. And occasionally I'll do a workout with like light dumbbells or resistance bands because some people have asked for that. But um, it just sort of grew from there. And now I try to post at least 6 times a week. I try and
Yeah,
take Sunday
grew
off.
is an understatement. You're at 500,000 viewers. I would say you grew.
Yeah, I grew quite a bit. I've had a number. I think there's about 20 or so videos that I put out since March that have gone way over 1 million views. So it obviously resonates with people. Um, and I get feedback because I also started an Instagram broadcast channel. Um, and again, that's a couple months old. I started obviously with nobody, and now I think it's closing in on about 11,000 people who are members of that. So I post additional
And I'm
content.
sorry, they're members of what? We want to be sure we get that to our people.
That's the Instagram broadcast channel that I have. So if you go to my profile on my main Instagram page, it'll say Forever Fit with Mitch channel. And they can join there again. That's free. And I post additional content in there. Um, and I get some ideas from there too, because people will ask me questions. Um,
Oh, I'm going to join that. I'm sorry that I'm not already. So just repeat that. If people go onto your Instagram profile, which is Forever Fit with Mitch,
Forever
then
Fit with Mitch. If you go to my main page where my profile is, there is um, a, a link that says at the very bottom, it says Forever Fit with Mitch channel. And they can tap there and join.
oh, great, great. So for anyone, again, that's his IG profile, his Instagram profile. It's Forever Fit with Mitch. Look for the little link for the channel. And then you can join his channel and then you'll get extra bonuses, bonus workouts and bonus things. The only thing is on those channels, are people allowed to ask you questions? Do you approve, you allow the questions and interaction back and forth?
Yeah, Instagram, I think, just came out with that ability in the last month or so. So yeah, people can comment
That's great.
on things I post. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So that's
excellent.
helpful. And
Excellent.
then I had a lot of people asking me to uh, put videos out on YouTube, and so I started a YouTube channel. Again, it's Forever Fit with Mitch. Um, I don't post as much there as on Instagram, just because it takes a lot of time to do, and you have to. So I put a lot of shorts, video shorts, which are similar to the reels on Instagram, 60 seconds or less. But I haven't posted any long form video on there because you have to shoot it a different way.
So for those of us our age who are still working, or you like recreating yourself, all of a sudden you become a social media manager, right? Or you become a social media creator, right? And
Yeah.
you're thinking, and that's okay, because it's great that we get to recreate ourselves, but it's just not what we thought we would be doing. I mean, I'm sure there were years in your life when this was not even a twinkle in your eye.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because at the retirement community where I worked, I I still get called to come in and substitute if they need help. And the first time that they called me in, I had already been posting on Instagram for a couple months. And I walk in and they said, and I hadn't told anybody there, we saw you on Instagram.
Oh,
We can't believe how many people follow you. You're an influencer. And I said, I don't think of myself like that. I just try and help people by posting videos. But
and
yeah,
you're just a regular guy. You're not, a Superman. You're not, the big buff guy who we all inspire to be, but no, we never will be. What I think is so amazing about you is how relatable you are. And if you talk to a social media coach, they will say you need to be relatable. And you're very relatable. You're our age. You are always ageless. You may have had health issues, but you're still out there every day and still posting. You're an inspiration to me. Yes, you're out there. You're doing something different every day. You don't talk. So you're there just putting yourself out, and people are engaged. They want to watch you. So of the things that you've done on social media, what seem to be the most popular, or what are the things that you think people are really wanting? What do they come to you for? They're just really craving what about what you do. Of course, we all want to be fit. We all want to look good like you do. But what are the things that you think people are really craving? What do you think brought 500,000 viewers to you? Other than, of course, your good looks.
yeah. uh, I think what I have found in my posting, and I also do surveys in the broadcast channel, so I get an idea of what people want. But I found that the videos I do on balance and fall prevention are very popular. I've also found that quick routines that people can do, like at their kitchen counter, are very
Oh,
popular. Um,
well, I can't say
and
I'm at my kitchen counter very often, but I have one.
yeah, yeah. So it's interesting because those seem to be, people want to get stronger, but strength really ties in to, helping with balance, helping with mobility. So I try and incorporate that into everything I do. And then when I don't think people take advantage enough when they watch my videos, because a lot of them ask questions and it becomes obvious that they haven't read the caption underneath. So the text that goes with the video. Because usually when I post a video in the caption, because you only have limited amount of space to show stuff, or else they wouldn't be able to see me in the video.
Right.
So I post additional information in the caption that explains why these exercises are beneficial and how they help you. Um, and I wish more people would read those because I get a lot of questions in my message box on Instagram, and the answers are right there in the caption if they had read it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Tell us some, do you have any stories, anything that you can share with our viewers and listeners about people who you've helped? Maybe people you never, most of the people in your following, I'm sure you've never even met. Tell us some stories, some heartwarming stories about someone that you've helped that you've been able to really make a difference for them.
Yeah, actually, let me pull it up real quick. I had somebody message me out of the uh, out of the clear blue the other day, and her message is basically, "I am working with my hospital to be put on a lung transplant list, a long, tedious process. I'm almost there and hope to be listed this year. I follow you to help with strength and balance. Pulmonary physical therapy asked me what I do at home in regard to exercise, so I shared your page with my respiratory therapist. You got a double thumbs up. Thank you for sharing your expertise."
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, so I get a lot of messages like that. Um, I've had several people, if you recall, uh, back in the 50s and 60s, Jack LaLanne,
I
uh,
do. I
the
do.
exercise guru. Yeah,
Jack
I get a
LaLanne,
lot of,
absolutely. And didn't he
yeah,
have like a blender and something else?
yeah,
Yeah,
he had all
yeah,
sorts of
sure,
stuff. Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Uh, so I get a lot of people commenting or sending me messages saying, "Oh, you're the new Jack LaLanne."
the Jack LaLanne.
Uh, yeah, Jack LaLanne. And like, okay, whatever. But yeah, I do get a lot of, that's one that I could pull up quickly, but I do get a lot of messages like that, that people who are suffering with different physical limitations, write me and say, your exercises have really helped me. And I, I always share it with my wife, and it usually brings tears to her eyes
Oh, I'm
because
sure it does.
they're so heartwarming.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. And by the way, for our viewers and listeners, and when they see this, we're going to put some little clips from your Instagram channel on here so people can see what you do.
Oh,
Because
cool.
we
Thank
can't
you.
have it in our video right here, but they'll be able to see you. Tell me then, I was going to ask you how your wife feels about this. Is she supportive of it? But you just shared that with us that she is.
Yeah, yeah, she's very supportive. Uh, she's my videographer and my support. And when we when I go to post, um, we work on the music choices together because we're trying to find music that fits sort of the exercise or the body part that we're trying to address.
Oh,
Uh,
sure.
and yeah, so we collaborate on that.
Well, that's great. We have about 1 minute left. I'm sorry to say, and I'd love to have you back again because the more I talk to you, the more I learn about you, the more I think we can help our viewers and listeners. And certainly you're a great example of always ageless and being relatable. So 3 questions. First of all, do you film? People are going to ask, do you film with a camera or do you film with an iPhone? Number 2
iPhone.
is iPhone. Okay, great. So
Mhm.
anybody can do this. Number 2, if someone is just starting out and they're just someone who's been, my mom's 104. Maybe she's not a good example. Maybe somebody who's our age in their 70s and they want to get started. What's the first 1 or 2 exercises that they should do on your page? And how can people reach you?
If they have never exercised before, the first thing you want to do is actually get cleared by your doctor that you're okay
All
to
right.
exercise.
All right.
And once you're cleared, then and if you've never exercised before, I would just start moving, and that means walking.
Just move. All right.
Yeah, and then once you've got a little bit of a fitness foundation, I'll call it, then I would start with body weight exercises. And if you have any type of balance issues or vertigo or any other issue where you might be unsteady on your feet, start with either seated exercises or exercises where you have support that you can hold on to.
Excellent. And how can people find you? We've mentioned your Instagram page. If people want to reach you, is that the best way to reach you is go there and sign up for your channel and reach you that way?
Yeah, follow me on and my Instagram account, Forever Fit with Mitch. Become a member, and it's free to my broadcast channel, which they can find on my Instagram page. That's the best way.
Thank you for joining us today, Mitch, Forever Fit with Mitch on Instagram, my hero. I do follow you. I haven't started my exercises, but I'm now inspired, so I'm going to. Thank you very
Great.
much. Thank your wife for sharing this time with us, allowing you to be with us today. We're glad you're well because we know you had COVID, and we're glad you're with us. Thank you very, very, very much.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie.
Fit with Mitch. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.